Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on our wish list account, and today we are looking at the treasure scramble. And there's a guide over on Reddit, I'll put the link down below, guys, that we're going to check out to really build and make progression within the treasure scramble. Now it does require multiple teams, so as you do get further in here with the formations, you can see we start getting into a lot of different teams. I believe 7 teams in its entirety. What we're going to be looking at now, the guide is over on Reddit. I'll put a link down below so you can check it out. Let's hop over and we'll check out the guide. All right, guys, so here is the treasure scramble teams. As you can see, an AFK driven, another guide from AFK MP. Go ahead and check out his YouTube channel or the TikTok right there, guys, at AFK MP 14. We're going to go through here, guys, all Narem. And again, this is team number 1. This is a team that we see a lot. Now, there are a couple variations of this just based on number 1, the heroes you have, and number 2, the debuffs that we do have within the treasure scramble specifically. So you can see this is all Narem. Now, this is a very solid combination that has come along. We have the awakened version of Sophia. There is Demia, and then you can see Ezio in there. Now, Ezio in this team has been very important, but I love that he does put alternates in here from AFK MP. Again, really cool. You can see the Winged Lion in here. So during the fire debuff, so when we're running the fire version of the treasure scramble, putting Leica in there versus having Sophia in there will work a lot better. And then, of course, if you don't have either of these awakened heroes, we have Yennefer, we have Joan, we have Palmer, Liberta, we have Silas, we have Frau. We have a lot of variations in here. In addition, if you do not have Ezio, you can see we have Mulan and we have the awakened version of Athalia. So what I do, and again, this is my personal recommendation, guys, is when you're going through here, build out the teams that you can. If you do not have some of these heroes, then build out the teams that you can, fill in the teams that you don't have the heroes for, making sure that you can build the essential teams. When you're getting, 2 teams, 3 teams, 4 teams, chances are you can make 2 or 3 teams. You might not be able to make 7, but the progression is going to help from the teams that you can make. Now, here is an alt comp, as you can see right here. This runs Yennefer, which is actually right here, and then Ezio, using Nakaruru, using Jerome, or using Ivan. Now, those, of course, are used probably in a couple different formations, just thinking of this game mode and kind of how it is built. Now, number 2, the dim comps. This is one of the big parts, guys, is a lot of players are still running the awakened version of Brutus, which is really strong in here. But if you look, Lucilla and Liberta together work incredibly well, guys. Then you have Albedo, which is the reason why from the garrison, Rem, Emilia are the priority, and Albedo is probably number 3 when it comes to the garrison. But then you do have, of course, the 2 other dimensional heroes in here, including Emilia for the crowd control. If you don't have Emilia, you can put in the awakened version of Athalia. And then, of course, we have Talisman in here. Lucilla's subs were only seen below the top 20. So again, this is really important because if you don't have Lucilla, there are some subs below the top 20. That is right. So a lot of the best in slot players, which a lot of the wish lists are kind of based on, you can see these are the heroes that we do have. Now, looking at the alt variation, this is the reason why the awakened version of Brutus, again, is pretty specific to these combinations. You have a lot of crowd control in here, running Mulan, or running, if you don't have Mulan, the awakened version of Thane. Now, Mulan, of course, is the primary one you should get from the Challenger store. Joan is the primary one you should get from the Labyrinth store. So both of those dimensional heroes should be absolutely the priority that you're building out of there. Now, also looking here, guys, we have Emilia, we have Merlin. Merlin, of course, very important in the formation. And then alt number 2 over here. Alt number 2, Albedo, Merlin, Emilia, and Yennefer are the core. So if you do not have these 4 heroes as a core, this you can actually choose your 5th hero. That is going to kind of go in here. And again, I love that he gives alternate formations for these because it is very important, guys, to build this out and make progression as much as you can in this game mode. The rewards on here are very solid. Now, number 3, this is the awakened version of Belinda. Again, we've seen some variations within here. We've seen Rain actually replaced by Ivan, or Jerome actually going in this. Again, Helas and the awakened version of Alika has more usage during fire and forest debuff, which again is kind of awesome to note. We still have Rowan in here, and then of course it is running the Rock Lizard. Now Rowan, I'm not sure how much I see him in here, even in my awakened Belinda comp, which I'll show you guys in a little bit, is not running Rowan at this point. I believe I have Ivan in here with Jerome, but Halos still making a presence. Then of course Aziz. This formation is all about having Belinda ult and having Belinda do damage. First three heroes are the core. You can see these three right here. And all the ranking and all the debuffs. Jerome as Rowan sub. When you see the Frost debuffs, again, top 20. And the remaining two are mix and match again, depending on the support heroes that you have, and also depending how far and how you have those support heroes built is very, very important, guys. Because if I have, let's say, Jerome built out much higher than Rain or Palmer, chances are the hero is going to work better in the formation. Now, right here, Matria in the 5 hypo. This is very important, guys, because for most players, if you don't have Matria, you can still use a different formation, really. Matria is the key to this one, guys. That is really the one with the SP effect that makes this work. But if you don't have the other hypo heroes, a lot of times this formation will be better used elsewhere, or some of these heroes better used elsewhere. Because if you're lacking Matria, that is really the stop for this team. It is really the build for this team, and it is running the spider in here. But again, Matria is really the trigger for Team 4. Now, the Seal stall comps. Now, this is an interesting formation. This is actually one that we have seen rise, and it does incredibly well, guys. I cannot stress this formation enough. Once I started doing this stall comp in there, it has worked, again, exceptionally well in formations. A lot of times, it's even my highest ranking win team within here. So you can see the original version of Tailene or the Awakened version. Thorin, Kelthar, and then, of course, Flora flying. And this is really based on the seal. So the higher that you have the Slumbering Seal is actually going to be the one that does an incredible amount of damage in this formation. You can see if you don't have Treznar, there's actually a couple other ones in here. And then these were below the top 20 rank subs. So again, looking at anyone that can really buy you time to have that Slumbering Seal really ult. Alternate comp runs Matria with Kanice and Rook. Again, the crowd control aspect is in here. If you don't have Thorin or Flora, you can see there's a couple other comps. And bonus team that is in the Frost debuff is right here. Again, a lot of crowd control, which interesting because this is Liberta and this is Lucilla within the formation to really keep Flora up in the air. Now, the burst comp, this is another one, guys, that is super strong. So you have the chat in here. You have the delay with Zolrath. You have the awe ability or the amplification rate here with Leica. Tamara's for crowd control, and then the awakened version of Athalia with that SP effect combined with the owl works super well. Now, if you don't have Chad, we still have Zap in here, which is pretty cool. Anasta, we're running Sonya in here, and then Matria. Out of these guys, I would probably run Anasta in this formation just because the build-wise, the mitigation-wise, to keep the rest of this team alive. Now, if you don't have that awakened version of Athalia, we do have Thane. Orin has always been a sub, guys, for Thane and for Athalia. It's kind of the cheaper built version, and Olgath is always in here as well. Then, of course, this ult formation over here just switches it to the awakened version of Leica versus the original version, and then dropping Mulan in there. And again, a couple subs that we see within the formation. But again, you have to make sure that you are using the heroes in here that you have built, and also the heroes are used in multiple teams is what we see. Because again, when you start getting to 7 formations, the teams do make a very big difference. And as we look at Team 7, guys, again, check out the YouTube channel at AFK MP14. Very, very cool guide. This is the awakened version of Solus and Neve. Now, this is one of the reasons why in the tier list, awakened version of Solus and Neve are still being utilized, is these specific game modes, as well as the Twisted Realm and the Cursed Realm and the Nightmare Corridor. The heroes are still showing up. Now, once upon a time, it was Mishka in here, and then, of course, we got Naruko. Naruko has taken a couple places. Now, Tarnos, the exact same. I actually run Chad in this formation because I do not have Tarnos built. And then we have Solus and Neve. The combination of these two together work super, super well, guys. And then Baden, because essentially Neve is going to buff up Baden, Neve is going to buff up Solus. And then, of course, the survivability aspect, the crowd control aspect that we see allows Tarnos to do a ton of damage in here. Now, again, if you're not running Tarnos, this is a solid ult. If you do not have Kanice and Rook, you can see there are a few different variations. Astrilda and Joan work exceptionally well in this formation. And again, if you're not using Baden or Orin somewhere else, then that is your solid ones to use in here. Now, number 8, we look at the awakened version of Brutus, and I love that he gave more team comps than just the 7. We know kind of the primary, or a lot of players only show 7 teams, but we have 8, we have 9. There's a couple in here. Just again, as a general consensus of how we're seeing heroes, the invade comp still does work well, again, depending on the formations that you can run. Awakened version of Brutus still being very present. We have Sophia and we have Athalia in here, so a super solid team in here. This is the old variation, or the old version of this, guys, was Brutus and Anasta running Joan with Mulan, and of course Scrag. Scrag is really the invade portion of this. You can see Anasta was used instead of Brutus in the Frost, and then the Fog debuff, no usage of that comp. And then, of course, right here, we have Peanut, we have Crescio, which was very short-lived, and then Skarath to swap in for those ults in here. And the Graveborn comp variations, again, this is an all Graveborn team. This is a super strong team, guys, as long as you can keep Grez alive. Now, I like the combination of the Hodgkin or the Ulna. Again, Ulna is usually run in a couple different formations. But looking here, Oden when he scales, Pharrell with the crowd control, original OG AFK Arena. This is also running the Owl in here. If you've used the Owl someplace else, you can always drop in another pet. Now, the sources, AFK Crowdsource, which I absolutely love with Zero, and then AFK Analytica with In-Season. And again, there is a lot of information in here. It says this is not a guide. It's just a compilation of teams that were shared in Players Server Discord on both of those. Now, again, when you look at a majority of these, the pets or what you're going through here, and there's a lot more kind of notes down here. The big thing to remember, guys, is what teams can you make out of these formations based on what we have seen from what players are actually using. That is the reason why I love he says it's not a guide, but this general guidance, I guess, with the teams, because there are so many players that have so many different variations of heroes and built to so many different levels that you really have to pick and choose exactly who you're using or who you can use within these formations to really make the Treasure Scramble teams work, which is awesome, and why I love covering these guys, not only getting a lot of exposure to what we have going over on Discord, but also to the additional content creators and the AFK Analytica team and everybody else that really puts these together. We don't see very many guides anymore. A majority of English, American, I know White Sushi guides and a couple other ones. A lot of players that made comments, but a lot of people do not make visual guides anymore. I've tried a couple times. It's incredibly difficult and time consuming, which is the reason why, again, I wanted to cover this. Definitely AFK MP, big shout out to him for all of this information. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.